Are you ready to get provoked? You're listening to Can I Live, a show created to excite, ignite, and expose. Let's tune in with your host, R.W. Jones. Great, perfect. So we are both places. Yay, was able to do that. Hey everyone, my name is R.W. Jones, the president and CEO of Can I Live Incorporated. And we are very, very excited about our new series called the Housewives of America. And so this particular series, we're just really highlighting why this is an issue. Why is this series an issue? We have some moms joining us later on the call just to kind of make sure that throughout this series, we cover a certain amount of things. And so as you guys know, if you guys have been following, we had a previous podcast that aired at 7 a.m. And it was really hard to get people on the show because they're like, that is early. And so what we decided to do was go to a 7 p.m. on Tuesday. And we decided to do a whole new series called the Housewives of America. Now, if you listen to any of the preludes, the whole entire definition, housewife of America, is probably like an oxymoron. Number one, we know that in public housing, and when we talk about housewives, we're talking about both public housing and we're talking about both Section 8 housing. And so what we know is that predominantly in public housing, it is majority single family head of household. And there's about, 52% African American. So although African Americans make up only, 12% of the United States population, they make up more than half of the HUD population, the Section 8 and the public housing population. So here in the Housewives of America, in this series coming up, we're just really pretty much going to be giving you the backdrops of what happens in these lives. Most times I have a couple of series and a couple of little snippets that we're going to watch today. But when you're talking Black Lives Matter, when you're talking racial gap, when you're talking, how the rich got rich, the poor got poor, when you're talking segregation, fair housing, all of that started someplace. And it's not like it's a big, difficult thing to undo. In this series, we're actually going to talk about how it was actually constructed. So I have a couple of snippets that I really want to show you and let you hear about how America became segregated in terms of its housing, the institutions that were behind it, how the wealth gap got that way, and then moving towards the end, how do we get out of this? HUD Wives of America is basically saying, yeah, while they're single, they're really not. They actually have a provider in the house, and his name is Uncle Sam. And in that provider being Uncle Sam, there's a couple of things. A, what are you actually what are you giving up in exchange for that subsidy? And so while on one hand, it sounds like it's affordable housing, like that's a good thing, most would say yes. But on the other hand, maybe it's really not that good of a thing. And maybe you're giving up way more than what you thought, simply because of the way that the institutions are kind of constructed. So let's not even sugarcoat it. On some front, let's talk about, number one, when you see people saying Black Lives Matter, I don't know if it's just because they were able to put a sign out there, and now that they have the sign in front of them, they're telling you they're not racist. They're telling you that they're not, racist. I guess that's the only operative word to put. I'm not racist. Black Lives Matter. I don't know if we're okay with that. And something tells me, and something makes me feel like, let me donate to the Black Lives Matter. Let me just put my banner up. Let me just, do these things. And I feel like I can check the box and go on with continuing the way I've been living my life. And I think that that's an issue. That's a problem. And so, our hopes is with this series is to be able to, identify, how did this start? Look at real lives, because one of the things I don't think we do is look at the real lives of the women behind the subsidy. I don't think you're looking at them as outside of, oh, they're a subsidized family receiving some kind of welfare assistance, and then that's it. And then that, I don't know if you're really looking at, no, they got dreams, they got businesses, they got visions, they work every day, and they're really trying their best to move themselves out. But for whatever reason, these same constructs that created this system, it's the same things that's keeping them from moving forward. And it's like, I'm over it already. I don't know about you, but I'm over it. And so I want to kind of, I'm going to share my screen. Let me see, share my screen really quickly. And I just want to listen to this snippet. This is from NPR. They did a interview with the guy who wrote this book called Color of Law. Let's see. What is this? New share. I'm going to do this one. With this guy who wrote Color of Law. And let's see, where is the video? Here it is. I guess you guys can see. I'm going to go all the way up to, I want y'all guys to listen to this really quickly. I'm going to get it right at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'm going to push play.
It was the second Roosevelt administration New Deal era program that created or enforced housing segregation.
The second major one was the Federal Housing Administration, which was established in 1934, the year after the Public Works Administration. And the Federal Housing Administration is well known today by many people as an agency that would not insure mortgages for African Americans in red line communities. That was a minor part of what the federal government, what the FHA did in order to segregate metropolitan areas. The most important role of the Federal Housing Administration was it subsidized mass production builders of entire subdivisions, entire suburbs. And it did so with a requirement that no homes be sold to African Americans, and that every home in these subdivisions had a clause in the deed that prohibited resale to African Americans. So these two programs combined worked to segregate metropolitan areas in a way that they otherwise would not have been segregated. The public housing program separated African Americans from integrated neighborhoods. The Federal Housing Administration then subsidized white families to move out of urban areas into suburbs, all white suburbs, where African Americans were prohibited from following.
And in what sense were African Americans prohibited from following whites into the suburbs?
They were prohibited because the developers of these suburbs got bank loans on condition that they sell no homes to African Americans. It was a federal requirement that they get these bank loans only on condition that they not sell to African Americans. And the Federal Housing Administration required that deeds in these homes have what we now